you might get wet. Warning, you might laugh so hard your cheeks will sweat. With Ben and Skin, homegrown homeboys from Richardson, they're gonna soak ya. Woo! Robin Dub Dub, it's the Super Soaker.
Here are your hosts for the Super Soaker, Ben and Skin. Ooh, soaked.
Yes. Hello and welcome, everybody. This is the Tuesday Super Soaker. I'm Ben Rogers, joined by my close personal homeboy since 1982, Jeff Skin Wade. How you doing, Skin?
Doing good, homie. Doing good. I hope everybody out there is doing well. We had a very eventful weekend, and so it's nice to be able to soak it up, man, because there's some good stuff going on.
Yeah, and I'm loving this stream. It's as excited as I've been about working on content in a long time, and I'm loving this. I hope you guys are tuning in every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. to check for this, because we will be streaming every single Tuesday and Thursday on this YouTube channel at 10 a.m. Lots of stuff to get into. We're on the heels of Dirk Nowitzki's amazing charity tennis event weekend. We got to be a big part of that. It was an honor to do so. We've got an exclusive the first interview that I've seen Klay Thompson do since he arrived in Dallas, a one-on-one with our own Skin Wade that we will play in this soaker.
Oh, how's about that? Yeah, it's cool because this was the 6th Dirk event. We've been to all of them, and this format was different. And I think for me, at least, I'm sure you felt the same way. This was probably the best one for access that we've ever had, because Dirk was mic'd up the whole time. But we'll get into that later in the show. But very successful event and a great opportunity to connect with all those folks.
Absolutely. We're also going to talk about a couple of shows that you've been to recently. Now, we've got some video to bring from those shows. Anything you want to say to tease forward into that?
If you are a old hip hop head like Ben and I are, then you'll dig this discussion. And if you're not, you'll learn to love it.
Yeah, and if you are into The Sopranos, or you want to talk about old TV shows, we've been watching this documentary on HBO, and we're just a little bit into it, but just enough to talk about it. So we're going to talk about The Sopranos a little bit later in the show, and maybe a couple other things. I want to start by talking Dallas Cowboys football.
Awesome.
I mean, at this point, there's been a lot of chatter about the game, obviously. I want to get into the story of going to this game. Because there's a lot to it, and I think a lot of good talking points involved in it. But just to get destroyed in the way that the Cowboys did, it felt so similar to the Green Bay game in the playoffs, where you're like, wait, I thought we were a top 3 defense, and I thought Dak was $65 million man, and you've got CD and Micah, and I thought this was our year, and it's like all of a sudden you just get blown out, and there was nothing the Cowboys could do to stop the Saints, and it wasn't even as usually if a team is going to run it down your throat against the Cowboys, usually it's going to be up the middle, because the Cowboys haven't really addressed. Well, they missed. I think perhaps they swung and missed on Mozzie Smith, but rarely do you see somebody run on the edges like they did against the Cowboys, and they just beat the hell out of them. And I couldn't help watching this game be caught up in the whirlwind of emotions that all Cowboys fans get caught up in. The highs of last week thinking that, oh my God, this is going to be a great year. The lows of this week thinking, oh my God, did we do the right thing by signing any quarterback, because maybe our team sucks. There was a lot of emotions in this one, and it's as bad as I've seen the Cowboys look in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I never really worry too much about week 2 losses. It's a really long season, and the best way to, show that is to just go look at what the Chiefs were last year before Thanksgiving. Now, they're Super Bowl winners, right? There's a lot of things that are frustrating. I don't think the Cowboys defense is going to be so bad that they're going to give a touchdown on every possession in the first half. I mean, that was a new NFL or a new Dallas Cowboys record. The Dallas Cowboys had never given up that many points. Their defense had never given up that many points in the first half. I also think I way underestimated the New Orleans Saints. They're way better than I thought they were. And, they were I think they were 9-8 last year. And I know Carr was hurt and whatever. But having said that, the Cowboys got their ass kicked, right? And if you look at the main thing that happened, you talked about Kamara running all over the Cowboys like it was his rookie year when he was this brand new toy that shocked the world. Man, the Saints had the Cowboys blocked perfectly on pretty much every play. It was shocking. It was almost like they knew exactly what the Cowboys were going to do defensively on every single play. I mean, it was very good execution and all of that. And now, having said all that, we could be a month from now or 5 weeks from now, and their defense is way better, and you learn from things like that. I definitely think their offense is better than their defense, but I don't think their defense is nearly that bad. And we're going to look back and probably forget about this game. And I also think that when you're playing from behind and the other team is scoring a touchdown every single time, and then you start feeling that pressure of, oh my God, we're kicking field goals, and you're looking at it going, okay, you can still flip the score, right? That's why you received in the second half. But man, when Brooks fell down and they got that final pick and went down and got another touchdown and got to 35 in the first half, that's when you felt like truly flush and move on, man, because that was an abysmal game and brutal to watch.
Being at that game, there was a point when my son, who really does know football, he's 16, but it's his favorite thing. Like he's deep into the game, and he looked at me and he goes, "Is Dak hurt?" I'm like, "Is it possible that he's injured?" I mean, he's just not in peak form right now, and there are troubling signs here. You're right. A game, week 2 doesn't matter unless the reason that you lost is something that is fundamentally flawed. And if you look at it from a Dak standpoint, look, I have a whole season of his work last year and all of this work where I feel really good about him. I'm not panicking about Dak. But personnel-wise, the way that they addressed the running back position was they acted like it didn't matter, that you could just put the custodian back there and just throw the janitor back there and block it up, and he'll do fine. And it's almost like a retirement home, like let's go get all the old guys and put them back. I mean, they gave up on Zeke before because they thought he was washed, and now he's back. Kind of their lead dog. And then just the failings at defensive tackle. And again, it's hard to measure in this one because they ran so much. I mean, they ran up the gut too, but they ran mostly out on the edges. But if it's a fundamentally flawed thing roster wise, where they just blew it at those positions because they made bad decisions on personnel, then this week 2 loss could be more than just a week 2 loss. It could be emblematic of the way things are going to go. And then I also have questions about Zimmer. I'm like, okay, dude, he looked like an absolute badass week 1, and now I'm like, maybe there's a reason why he was available. Maybe there's a reason why he loved the idea of a 1-year deal. And all this stuff gets in your head. But to your point, if they go out and win next week, we'll have forgotten all of this and we'll be drunk on that win.
Yeah, and again, it's like if the other team just came out firing. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say I think the Saints are front runners or whatever, but based on that division and based on what we've seen, I mean, Kamara did the same thing last week. It's not like he suddenly did this against Cowboys. He ran all over the place last week too. If he's going to look like that, Carr is a good quarterback. He threw dimes. He's a good quarterback. I thought, I'm not, football man, but when I was watching that, and then I would rewind and watch again, I thought their blocking was incredible. I was like, they're executing, their receivers are executing blocks. Like everyone sealed off Cowboys and just opened up holes, and then dynamic players made plays. So it could be that, man, the Cowboys defense is terrible and the Saints aren't this good, but how they came out, I mean, they lit that place up. They were ready to go, and they had a plan, and, man, they executed. That second drive, that throw Carr made was incredible. I mean, they just torched them. And so then when you're all spread out with big plays, right, now there's holes, and then you start adjusting to that. And then meanwhile, the Cowboys are kicking field goals. And then again, these games, when you've played the possession game and you're set up to have one last drive and then score and get the ball back and be within 4 or 3 or whatever, that all goes to shit when you throw an interception because a dude fell down. It was not a bad throw. It was a great throw. And by the way, That's the best thing. Tom Brady, I know you were at the game, but when Tom Brady just said, yeah, I wouldn't throw to that guy again for the rest of the game, I was like, this is why we want you on the broadcast. That's amazing gold. But and then everything starts turning, and then you start looking around and going, okay, well, this is one of those games. But you're right, Ben. I mean, if the Cowboys go out and suck next week, that's what the first month of football is going to feel like. It's going to feel more like failure than because, dude, Cleveland looked terrible against us, and we had tons of injuries.
And I think most people had the Saints as being a bottom third team in the NFL coming into the season, and they've scored on every drive they've had in 2 games, so maybe they're going to be better than everyone gave them credit for it. But I went to this game, and I want to tell you the story of. Do you have anything else you want to say about the game?
No, I to me, it's one of those games you flush, baby. I tell you what, we'll revisit this game if next week is a repeat performance, right?
Okay. So I want to talk about going to this game because I may never go to another Cowboy game ever again.
Oh no, dude, seriously?
So I've been mentioning this that since my oldest went to college, I've been trying to be more intentional about being present and enjoying the time I have left with my other 2 kiddos. Right before we started this stream, my wife texted me a picture of our 13-year-old daughter going, "Oh my God, look how old she is." I'm like, "Oh my God, it's going way too fast." And so I'm trying to do things and to spend time with my kids so I can savor those moments because it kind of blindsided me, the emotional wave of my oldest going off to college. So knowing that my 16-year-old loves the NFL, it's his absolute favorite thing. I was like, hey, Cowboys aren't even his team. At some point along the way, he became a Rams guy.
Okay, I remember that.
And he stayed with it his whole life. Ever since he was a tiny kid, he just loves the Rams. But he knows I love the Cowboys and he loves football. So the night, okay, so it would have been Saturday night. I have a friend who works in the ticket brokerage business, and he texted me and he said, "Hey, I just I had a couple tickets fall into my lap that are, I'll let them go at cost or whatever." I don't remember how he worded it, but he's like, "They're a smoking deal. It's late. If you want them, they're yours." And I was like, "Oh shit, okay, yeah, I'll do that." And so I'm going to tell you. The whole way here, I'm going to tell you price tags.
Okay. All right.
I think it's important.
Yeah.
So the tickets were $250 a piece.
Okay.
Okay. They were in the lower bowl of the stadium, but kind of in the corner.
Okay.
And maybe slightly in the second part of that lower bowl, but they were phenomenal. It was the 14th row. We were in the corner, but we had a perfect view for everything. And I was real happy with the tickets. And I went and looked online because my wife was like, "Oh my God, $250. What are you doing?" And I looked online and the tickets in that section were going for $750, $800.
Wow.
Okay. So it was a good deal. And then I asked my guy, "Hey, do you have any suggestions on parking?" And he didn't. And so I just on the SeatGeek app, I was like, all right, I'll go.
So it's just you and your son, by the way. So we're 500 right now.
We're at 500.
Okay.
The parking credential or the parking pass, rather, it was for lot 10. Bought it off SeatGeek. It was the cheap. There was 3 of them for sale. I bought the cheapest one. It was $280
for parking.
For parking.
Do you get to park in that special event level parking where you get to walk out on the field when your parking space?
It is a good lot in that it's directly on the stadium, but it's huge, and so there's no guarantee how close you're going to actually be able to get.
So it's more than one ticket.
Yes.
Okay.
And and I know where that lot is, so I know how to get to that lot. So there's an advantage there. And it was the cheapest of the 3 of them that were being sold. One of them was $100 more than that.
Okay.
So I'm like, if I don't do that, I mean, I thought about Ubering, just Uber to the game, but I'm in Salina.
And dude, getting out. See, that's the thing. It's cool getting there. Getting out is an F show. You at least want to walk to that hotel or somewhere else, and then it's just you're suddenly walking for 15 or 20 minutes,
Yeah. And so I'm like, all right, I'll drive, and I'm just gonna, look, I'm buying memories here. This is we talked about the game. We're like, you know what, worst case scenario, it's a huge Cowboys blowout, and we leave a little bit early because it's boring because they're winning by so much.
Right.
And so anyways, The Nav app that I use on my phone to get there, just the basic one that comes on an Apple phone, it's not really savvy at getting in and out of stadiums. It's having me. I realized it took me off of the main arteries once I got close to the stadium. So once I got to the old ballpark in Arlington, it took me about 45 to 55 minutes to get to the parking lot.
Oh my God.
From there.
So are you on that? What is that called? Randall Mill and Nolan Ryan going towards the stadium? Is that
I guess.
where you are?
I don't remember the names, but
Okay.
I'm zipping by, the old baseball field is on my left.
Yeah.
I'm
Gotcha.
going through, there's a roundabout, I'm cutting over, and
I know where you are.
it was the most stressful driving ever too, because everyone's trying to get to the same place. People are trying to figure out if they're in the right lane. And man, it was crazy. I saw people do insane illegal driving maneuvers, right in front of police officers. One guy was backing up. It was like Escape from New York. And I rolled my window down, and I was about to get in a wreck at 0 miles per hour because people were being so aggressive. And I looked over at this state trooper that's working, and I said, officer, are you looking at this wreck that's about to happen at my hood? It's right there. And he goes, "What do you want, man? I'm one guy."
What is Miles doing? Is he laughing? Is he liking it? Is he
He's
scared?
probably a little stressed out because that was legit. People are angry because the game is starting and they can't get to it, and there's way too much traffic. And so later, as I got around to pull into lot 10, I'm right next to that Walmart. I'm trying to take a left into lot 10. I'm realizing, this lane, we're about 40 cars deep or 20 cars deep, whatever, and no one's moving and hadn't moved for 20 minutes.
Has the game started yet?
So yes, we missed the start of the game. So I leave that lane. I'm like, I got to go down, make a U-turn and come back the other way and take a right turn into parking lot 10. And as I came back up there, people were doing all sorts of illegal shit there too. And I heard the police officer that was there working go, "Hey man, what do you want?" They're like, we're not staff for this. I don't know what do you want us to do? And nobody had any control over any of it. So finally, we finally get a parking spot, and I'm kind of in the parking spot. I back in so I can get out pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. But the biggest truck in the history of the world is parked behind me, and it's got the largest trailer hitch you could ever have. That's taken up 30% of my parking spot. So I'm kind of in a spot, but I'm also kind of the front of my car is the whole tire is out in the middle of the street, getting through the parking lot.
God, there's so many giant trucks at a Cowboys game too, man.
God. So it's about 130 degrees outside. We start walking. We've been listening to the game at this point in the car. We start walking in, and I'm like, "Oh shit, we have to go in a certain gate." It's like you can only go in this entry.
Oh.
But I'm like, "Oh no, it's not even anywhere near where I parked." So we're walking over there, and I go to ask a lady who works there, "Hey," and she goes, "Don't even ask. Keep moving, keep moving. Everything will work out. Just keep moving. Everybody keep walking." I'm like, "Oh my God, this sucks ass."
How frequently does the amount of money that's been spent enter your mind as you're dealing with parking and all that shit?
That idea you have an angel on your shoulder and a devil on your shoulder? I just had a calculator on my shoulder every second. And I'm just reinforcing with my son. I'm like, well, I'm glad we got to spend this time together. Cause that's what
Yeah, you want to have it. What you're doing is you're spending money to make stressful memories with your son.
Yes, I love my son, and I'm like, we get this time together. And I know that my wife, if she was to audit the experience, that would be the most painful thing.
Right.
And so we finally
anxiety, Miles. It's incredible.
So we finally walk around the whole stadium to get in the right way. We walk in. We're in. I think Cowboys are already losing 14-3.
Yeah.
We're go to the concession, and I don't eat bread. And so we're trying to figure out what to get. And he wants a Dr. Pepper and a hot dog.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, I'm going to get a hot dog, but I'm also going to get a burger so I can just eat the burger patty. So a burger patty and a dog.
Yep. Hang on. I'm writing some numbers down. Keep going.
So a hot dog, 2 hot dogs, a burger, a bottled water, and a Dr. Pepper.
Hold on. Doing the math. 3, 2, 4. Okay, go ahead. I've written down a prediction of what I think you just spent for 2 hot dogs, a cheeseburger, you said a Dr. Pepper, and a water.
Yeah. Now, another problem was that the guy who was taking our order was about 6'8".
Okay.
And so I was small talking him about basketball, and we got along great with the guy. He was awesome.
Come on.
I go, he was stressed out, and I go, all right, how are the burgers or whatever? I'm like, and how's your low post game? And he starts cracking up, so he starts telling me what he can do in the low post or whatever. So now I've bonded with this guy.
Did you tell him about the complete fun package for the Ben and Skin YouTube?
No, I did not. And so when it comes time to, are you going to tip? I'm like, damn it. I have to tip here.
Because you already told him that you're Ben Rogers of the Ben and Skin show, and now it's like, oh, I'm going to go on social media. Ben Rogers does not tip, man. I was a server.
I did not tell him, but I think it was $71 all in.
Oh, okay. I mean, that sucks. That's horrible. I wrote down 83. Then I thought you tipped him 17 for an even 100.
Okay.
So, dude, you just saved $29.
But you know what? That might have been before I tipped 22%.
Oh, okay.
So
I assumed that the hot dogs were 17 a piece. That the ham cheeseburger was 27. So that's good. But still, it's way too much. It's 3 times what it should cost. And
man, it is so stressful. First of all, it's like 40% Saints fans. It felt like that. We were guessing maybe it was 25, but it felt like 40% Saints fans. Sometimes it felt like there was more Saints fans than Cowboys fans there. And we get to our seats, and it's like, dude, the seats, the rows, they're tiny. I mean, it's all so small,
right?
And so we have to, wedge our way into, the seats. We get in the seats. The seats are just digging into my knees. It's like I'm 6'3". It's like there's a kid with like a rake who's jamming it into my knees, like just messing with me the whole time. And so I'm like, all right, well, we're finally in our seats. They're so expensive. It really is somewhat painful right now.
Right.
And I'm trying to eat some really unhealthy, expensive food, and it's in my lap. And then I noticed 2 seats over, some people brought the oldest person I've ever seen to a game.
He survived Iwo Jima.
I'm like, this guy, I thought he had a full walker in the aisle. And they're like, I'm so sorry. They're sitting in the middle of the aisle. I'm so sorry. Can we get through? And we got to, they're going to take him to the bathroom.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, it was more than a cane. I don't know what all he had, but the guy looked like he was 103 years old.
His prostate doesn't work, so he's got to pee every 5 minutes.
He was up and down the whole game, and it was like his skin, I could like see his organs through his skin. He was at the very end. I mean, it was like hospice took him to the game. And I'm like, how are you going to get him up and down these steps? Like, it was hard for us to like walk there. It was full of pitfalls and danger the whole way, just for us. And this old man is like got a walker in AT&T Stadium. So God bless him. So whatever. We're like, oh, this is the weirdest game situation I've ever had. And then I hear the loudest, mind-numbing, piercing, ear-piercing, brain-piercing whistle.
Oh.
And it's just over and over and over. And I'm looking around and I see the guy is 2 rows behind me, 2 seats over, and everyone there is looking at him. Even Saints fans are like, what are you doing? He goes, yeah, I brought a whistle. And he proceeded to whistle his ass off the whole game. Oh. And I'm like, it hurt my ears. Like I thought I was getting a migraine. And I looked it up online. You're not allowed to have a whistle. And he was right next to security people who didn't give a shit. And everyone in our section is talking. I'm like, we're going to see one of those Dallas, Texas TV fights. Because I guarantee you someone's going to fight this guy. It might even be a Saints fan because he was dry. And I have a video of this.
Okay.
This didn't help that the Cowboys are getting throttled. But this is the whistle guy. That's him.
Okay, you know what, dude? He looks like you could kick his ass. I think you should have stepped to him.
He was. I mean, look how aggressive that is.
Yeah, that's and I'm not seriously that the reason that's illegal is because it can mess with play.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I didn't hear it on TV or whatever, but that's why you can't have whistles at games. It messes with play.
Yeah.
They blow plays dead with a whistle. Like, that should not happen. So, I know Jerry and Steven and Jerry Jr. and Charlotte and John Paul Steven, John Steven watch our Super Soaker. That has to be communicated to the security guards. That cannot happen because that can fuck a game up.
Yeah, it was terrible, man. And it was nonstop. And it just, overall, it was just, and then the Cowboys got the fucking wheels beat off of them.
They got killed, dude.
So what did I spend on that game? And not to mention the toll tags and the gas.
Did you not do? I know you got more water in Dr. Pepper's, right?
No, that's it. It's okay. We were wedged in there tight, man.
I got you in. Let's see. Let me do this. I got you in for $851.
I mean,
well, that doesn't include gas and tolls because you live in Broken Bow. So that. I mean, you probably with tolls and gas, that's probably both ways. That's probably another $80.
Why? I mean, why would I? And you know what? You know what? So many times the people in front of me were standing up cheering this for their Saints. Yeah. I couldn't even see anyways. So I ended up watching it on Jerry's giant TV.
Right.
And if you think about where you are and the physics of how big that screen is for you, I mean, if you hold your phone up close to your face, that's a bigger screen to distance ratio, I think.
I don't know if it's just, I don't know if it, to me, a basketball game and a hockey game are far and away better in-person experiences than football. Like, it's not even close. And I think baseball is somewhere in between those and maybe a little bit closer towards basketball and hockey in terms of being there. And I'm sure that has to do with proximity and all that stuff, right? But honestly and truly, unless I'm not paying for it and someone invites me to the game or invites me to their suite or whatever, I don't want to go, man. I want to watch it at home. Now, it's a little bit different. Your son loves the NFL. I don't think my son can name 5 Dallas Cowboys. I mean, he truly does not give a shit. His thing is basketball and doesn't follow baseball, doesn't follow football. So I don't know, man. Maybe if Desmond was way into the NFL, that would change my opinion. And then I don't want to go to a college game because I will for sure get into a fight. And it's not going to work out well for me. I'm very scrawny. So I just don't know unless someone is like going, hey, I've got a ticket. Hey, my company has a suite. I don't know that I want to go to a football game, dude.
I think I'm there with you. I had a great time with him and really the time and the ride, the hour there and the hour home, that was magic. Like I love
Wait. Did you have more fun with him at the Cowboy game or at Cosm?
Cosm.
Right.
Cosm, dude. Cosm changed the way I feel about going to sporting events, I think, forever because there's no parking drama. It's not anywhere near as expensive.
Yeah.
The food is way better. The drinks are better. The whole experience was better. Yeah, dude, I would take Cosm over that every day of the week.
Okay, so let me ask you right quick, because I know that you went to that putt-putt golf thing in Broken Bow, and you said it was similar to Pop Stroke. Have you actually been to Pop Stroke?
Twice.
Okay, I went Sunday night. It was like a deal for my sister-in-law. It is really, really fun.
It's special, right?
Yeah, it's cool. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I definitely left there thinking, all right, I want to take Des here, or Maya and her boyfriend. I thought it was really, really cool. And the people that I was with, not one of them played golf. They weren't golf people at all. And I think everyone had a blast and the food was good. And dude, they'll bring drinks out to you on the putt-putt course, but we were not drinking. And despite all that, it was still really super rad. So when Cosm came up, I was reminded of it because, Cosm is, right in the background, but yeah, dude, Pop Stroke is rad.
Okay. So yeah, Grandscape right there. There's Cosm.
Mm-hmm.
There's that pop stroke, which I freaking love. I hate
Yep.
golf, but I think I set the course record when I was there.
Yeah, I don't think you
I
did.
don't know if anyone mentioned that to you. And then right next door is the surf wave joint. It's like
I forgot the name of it, but when I left Sunday night, we left it around like 8:30, and it was still popping.
Yeah, and people can surf on those little waves right there, and you can watch. That's a pretty cool spot. I love Grandscape, but yeah, man, I would way rather go to Cosm or just watch it at my house, and I enjoyed it for my son, but for spending time with my son, but it sucked, man, and it was that part of it. I would invest that money and spend it with my son. I don't care what we do, but the going to a game is not that special, man. It's just not. And I kept thinking, I see all these stadium fights all the time on social media and all this stuff, and I see why there's all this stress and pressure and drama and all this shit. So I'm like, dude, I think I've probably, and I'm like you, if you have a suite, I'll go pass me the Grey Poupon in your suite. I'll do that.
I'm happy to drink your company's beer. I think that's a wonderful idea. So in on that.
Yeah.
If I can ride with you too, because I do not want to deal with parking. I do not want to go online at whatever you went online at and drop $280 for a parking pass.
Oh shit, sucks so bad. Okay, but you recently went somewhere too, and you've got some video to show us. You went to a couple shows. What'd you go to?
Yeah, so as I've gotten older, I'm probably less inclined to go to a hip hop show. Now, there's been a few that I've gone to in the last few years that were really, really good. But a couple weeks ago, I did the rare 53-year-old double dip. I went to a rap show on a Thursday night. And then I got my ass up and I went to work, and then I went to a rap show on a Friday night. And these were rappers from our era, really dope rappers, and groups that we had seen 30 years ago. And so what had happened was Trees, which is a legendary venue in Deep Ellum. I can't tell you how many badass shows I've seen at Trees, including the first time Tribe Called Quest came to Dallas. They played Trees. That would have been 1990, I think. I've seen De La Soul there. I mean, I've seen a lot of great shows at Trees. I'm sure a lot of music fans have. But so they had the Jizza and Inspect a Deck on a Thursday night. Now, Inspect a Deck actually lives in the DFW, but those dudes are older than us. And so I'm going to show you a little clip. It's just off of my phone. This is, we were kind of up in the balcony area, and this is the Jizza. And I think in this, he is doing a little Old Dirty Bastard. I don't know if you got that fired up there.
Shimmy, shimmy, y'all, shimmy, yeah. Give me the mic so I can take it away. Walk on the next two charge. Land of the home of the Dodge. Wu-Tang Killer bees on the swarm. Rain on your collar as this goes on. You name it.
I don't know if you could hear that, Ben, but Jizza, I'm going to guess, because I don't know him. I think he had been drinking. But he stayed about a quarter of a half a beat behind the beat the entire night. And I was sitting up in the balcony with our homeboy, Cole Chris, that you and I knew all the way back when we were like 19 years old.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm sitting next to a dude who knows every lyric of every song. And I don't know if you could tell there, but the Jizza had a live band behind him. Now, because you and I have been around for 100 years, and you go to these shows, sometimes we get treated really nice. So they took me up in that little VIP area where I was there with Chris, and there's a guy there, and he goes, "Hello, I'm Old Dirty Bastard's brother." I think he said, "I'm old." Yeah, he said, "I'm Old Dirty Bastard's brother."
Really?
And he was dressed like to the nines, like pimp game, real strong. Not dressed like hip hop dude, just dressed like the Mac. And I was like, and he goes, "I play drums." And I go, "All right, I'm Skin." Yeah, I just, have you seen the Super Soaker? I didn't really know what to say to him. And then later, when the Jizza was performing, he was back there on the drums.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he's touring. I think they're called, I can't remember what they're called, the Funk something or other, but they're Jizza's backing band, and they were really tight. So all these Wu-Tang beats that they were going through, they had a DJ, but they had a live band playing with it, and it sounded great. But the thing that I was so impressed with, Man, Inspect Deck's probably like 53 or 54, and he just held it down, just him and a DJ, no hype man, and killed it.
Wow.
And as I was watching it, I was just really struck by like, okay, and this isn't to take a shot at the Jizza. The Jizza sounded great too, but the Jizza was kind of drunk a little bit, you know, and kind of behind the beat, and it was cool. And he did tell this really super dope story, and it went into Liquid Swords, which is his best song. It's the name of his solo album. And he told the story about making the beat with the RZA. And he told it in a really funny way where he was like talking what the RZA said and then saying what he said. And then the RZA told him what the rap. He's like, I don't even remember that. And then they just went into the song and the place went nuts because that's his biggest hit. So he was dope. I'm not shitting on him by any stretch of the imagination. But the degree with which Inspector Deck performed at the age he's at really blew me away. Because think about, you know, you and I used to get up on stage and rap. Can you imagine going up on stage right now and trying to hold down like 35 minutes by yourself without a hype man?
No, that would suck.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to do.
It'd be really hard to do. And I was just so impressed with his with itness and verbal dexterity and breath control and all that. I was like, holy shit, man, he sounds amazing. So I was fresh off of that experience. Okay. The next night, now I love the Wu-Tang Clan, but for you and I and the era and the stuff that we like, Pete Rock is a seminal producer. Like he changed this. He had a moment in time where he changed the sound of hip hop. And I remember is like, you know, some people say, I remember where I was. I remember the first time I heard They Reminisce Over You. I was living in Austin and my buddy had recorded it off of a Houston rap station like their KNON and brought it back during Christmas break. He's like, you got to hear this. And I remember sitting there listening to it and, you know, I made beats, but I couldn't understand how it sounded the way that it sounded. Like it just sounded revolutionary. So I've always been a huge Pete Rock fan. I know you have too. And a few months back, Pete Rock did a full album with Common. Common's one of my favorite rappers. I'm assuming you like Common too, right?
Love him.
Yeah. I mean, you love meaningful lyrics. I think, I don't want to speak for you, but my perception of you is there's a lot of things that go into rapping. There's the sound of the voice, there's cadence, there's hooks, but then there's also the meaning of the words. And my perception of you all these years is that that's what you latch on to first is when something has a lot of meaning, or at least I know there's a lot too.
I think that I value that. I want talented writing, and there's a lot of rap now that is mumbling and stuff like that, and I don't really dig it quite as much. I still like the beats a lot, but it's kind of you kids get off my lawn. I like hip hop from the 90s. I like a lot of those lyricists better than the modern day lyricists, and that's not to say all of them because there's some really good ones too. But yeah.
Okay, well. That's kind of how I perceive Common. And he's had a couple of like really kind of seminal hip hop songs, but the one that really kind of broke him through was called I Used to Love Her. And in it, he's rapping about a relationship, but it's his relationship with hip hop. And in this, hip hop is a girl and talks about all the changes she goes through, but he's basically talking about the evolution of hip hop. And it was a real breakthrough song for him at the time, whatever that was, 92 or 93, whenever that happened. But I don't even remember Pete Rock ever even producing stuff for him. But they did this album together. It's called The Auditorium Volume 1. And it's Pete Rock beats and Common rapping on it. Pete Rock raps on a few things. But if you haven't heard the album yet, it's a great album. It's one of my favorite albums of the year. And it very much feels like that 90s hip hop that we love so much. So they're taking this out on the road. And the first couple Pete Rock records, they would do these like interstitials, which would be beats. They're incredible beats that no one's even rapping on, right? They just come in the middle of a song and then disappear. And it's like this weaving in and out of the songs. And it creates this giant tapestry. And one of the things that Pete Rock would always rap about is being in the basement, because up north, they have basements. And he had an insane record collection and, you know, had all these huge samples and beats that people didn't have and discovered beats and all this stuff. And so he's known for that. So the stage of their performance, they recreated Pete Rock's basement. Okay. Now I'm going to, in a second, I want to pull up this video, but at the beginning of the show, Common comes out with a guy named J-Rock, who's a legendary DJ dude. There's 2 DJ setups on the stage and a couch, and the back wall is like paneling from a basement, and they have record shelves everywhere, and records are on the shelves. So they've recreated a basement. So pull this up, and this is Common, and you'll see a little bit of.
Got your hands up. Keep the motherfuckers high. Throw your motherfucking hands up top. Where you at? All the girls pass the weed to your motherfucking man. Dallas, yo, I ain't never tell you to put down your hands. Woo! And if you losing your high, then smoke again. Get them high.
Okay.
Where's that?
That's Common.
No,
So,
where?
And what's that?
Where?
Oh, that's at the Echo Lounge.
Okay.
Okay. And the place is, packed. And so when Common comes out, he is in incredible shape. Like what I was saying about Deck, when he came out, it felt like an athlete coming out. Like he was just all over the stage, killing. I mean, he can, put the mic out and everybody knows the lyrics and they can finish rhymes for him. But once again, for the second time in 30 hours, I'm just struck by this guy's our age and they're holding it down like a fucking pro athlete out there. And so he's rapping on other people's beats. He's doing a lot of the stuff he did with Kanye because he's from Chicago. And he's out there by himself with J-Rock for, 20 minutes or something. And then Pete Rock comes out. And I want to show you this footage when he comes walking out of that door at the back of the basement. So then they go into the Shut It Down remix that Pete Rock did for Public Enemy, which is one of the best remixes ever. And it's cool because it's like they're just playing music from that era and just rocking it all together. And sometimes they're doing other people's verses. Like when they Reminisce Over You, Common rapped it, but he changed the lyrics to be about Dilla, which Dilla is like a legendary producer that meant a lot to a lot of people. And then they tell stories. And then for when they Reminisce Over You, they started playing the original record, and Pete was talking about how he found it and what it meant. And then they start layering it together. And it was just an incredible experience that a rap concert can still be that great, that creative. Dudes that age can still hold it down. There's a room full of people that are hungry for that shit. And it was just an amazing, amazing experience. And I'm hoping, that album's called Volume 1. I'm hoping they do a Volume 2 and come back through, because those kinds of shows, those are awesome. You remember those shows. They feel special. They feel nostalgic. Maybe a 30-year-old seeing that show wouldn't give a shit. But for people our age, where you remember all those beats, where you were the first time you heard it, and the way they all laced it together, it was a really cool show.
Hell yeah. I didn't even know they were coming. I would have gone to that shit. That's awesome.
It was amazing. And to have it on back-to-back nights with the Jizza and Inspector Deck, really, really sick, man. Good stuff.
Awesome.
Okay, I know you got a little into it, but the Sopranos documentary, how much of that thing have you seen so far?
I think I've seen the episode 1, most of episode 1, and a little bit of episode 2.
It is. I watched.
Are there 3?
No, there's 2.
Oh, there's 2. Okay.
Yeah. So Saturday night, I watched episode 1, and I watched the first half of episode 2, and then I fell asleep because I'm old, and then I woke up and saw the final 15 minutes of it. So I got to go back and watch the back half. But I want to get your thoughts on what you've seen so far in episode 1.
Man, I love it. It's the guy who it's mostly about. What's his name?
David Chase.
So I'm less interested in the parts about him, which, just being honest, I love all the stuff about the actual show. And obviously that's, he's saying how he got to that point. But You know, what's the guy who played Tony Soprano? What's his,
James Gandolfini.
James Gandolfini. Dude, the stuff about Gandolfini where he dominated that role, and they show all these casting calls, all these people trying to get these other roles. First of all, they did a brilliant job casting that show. Every decision they made was a fucking great decision. But if you look at the performances of the people trying to be Tony Soprano, when you see Gandolfini, you're like, oh shit, that's Tony Soprano. No question. Nobody else comes close. And to see the way that Gandolfini took that role so seriously and approached it on such a deep level, where to get in the right mode to play this vile, horrible guy, a straight cold-blooded murderer who's also a family man and super complex in all those ways, a terrible person that we're actually rooting for, to get in the right frame of mind to go do those things, he had to put his body and his mind through such torture to be in the right mindset to go do those things. And it probably led him to a pretty considerable drinking problem. And ultimately, the role probably killed him. And that's kind of what they're laying out, the whole onset, why the show became in the first place, how they casted it, why they couldn't find any place to air it. And finally, HBO, which was kind of an afterthought, but they were willing to air it there. And, dude, that show made HBO in so many ways. So it's an incredibly powerful it's incredibly powerful content going back, looking at it and watching Gandolfini. You just feel like you're watching a generational, genius.
Yeah, it's and I don't want to, because I don't know how much you got into. I don't know where in episode 2 they talk about this and where they don't. Did they get into the dispute? Have you seen the part where the dispute Gandolfini has with HBO?
No.
Okay, then I'll back off of that part. But I remember when all that happened. It's like I had forgotten about it, but it was very big news. And so when they get into it, you start having flashbacks as to what's happening at that time and why it is such a really big deal. The guy who directed it, the documentary, is named Alex Gibney, and he's generally regarded as one of the 2 or 3 best documentary filmmakers going. I'm pretty sure you saw the opioid crisis one he did on HBO about Sackler and all that. You saw that, didn't you?
I saw a couple movies, documentary. I saw a bunch on that.
Yeah, he did a really good one. The first movie I saw of his was The Smartest Guys in the Room, the movie about Enron, which that's really great. But he's got a ton of great documentaries. And when he zeroes in on something, he's really good. And what they did that I found really interesting is they recreated Dr. Melfi's office. Yeah. And they put David Chase in Tony Soprano's seat, and they do the Dr. Melfi routine to him. And he even talks about it. He's like, I thought we were doing a documentary about the Sopranos. Now I realize you're trying to make this about me. And it is pretty interesting as it goes on. It's pretty revelatory about how deeply personal that show was to David Chase and why the show had to be the way it had to be. And you mentioned how painful it was on Gandolfini and how ultimately painful it was on David Chase too. Because when you're doing material that is that dark and you have to go to a very, very dark place, pop culture has trivialized mafia life, right? Because it's been so pervasive, but you're rooting. And this is what happened with The Sopranos. People were rooting for some real shitbags. Like, that's what you're doing every week. You're watching really horrible humans and somehow trying to find the humanity in them. And it's a really, did you ever watch The Shield?
No,
I never did either. And I know it probably is a great show and I'd probably like to go back and watch it, but I know what happens at the end of it. And that's another thing that I was interested in talking to you about. So lately you and I are the same way. We watch all these old, we flip around cable until we stumble across something and watch it. And lately I had been watching old episodes of The Sopranos, just stumbling on it and watching it. I don't even know what season it is. I don't know what happened before it, but Sopranos is on and I'm watching a little bit of it. And the wife had been, laying there in bed and watching it with me too. And when one would end, we'd be like, God, I'd love to watch another one. And then you're like, do I really want to go back in time and watch 6 effing seasons of one show when I can't even keep up with all this new stuff. And that's the hardest thing. Like, it's funny. Think about how many times you'll watch a movie over and over and over, but that's only like a 2-hour commitment. If you're going to go back and watch a whole series, that is such a huge commitment.
How many episodes is that?
So I think there was 83 episodes of The Sopranos. I could be wrong about that.
In their hour?
Yeah. How many episodes of The Sopranos were there? But one of the things that did, that little 2-part documentary, and again, I need to go back and watch, the final the final 30 minutes of the final episode, because they get to at the very end, they get to the ending and they talk about the ending, and that's fascinating as shit. Because remember what that did to the country. Like, it was the biggest show on television by far, and everyone stopped down to watch the final episode.
That was Journey, Don't Stop Believing at the booth at the diner.
Yep.
Okay.
And and so people are coming in and they're building all this tension, and then it just ends. It just goes to black.
Does he say why they did that shit?
I don't want to give it away. But they even talked to some of the actors in the show about what they were feeling as they were watching it, because a lot of them didn't know how it was going to end. And so that's super interesting. But yeah, it's amazing. The Gandolfini part is amazing. And so no doubt probably we'll both, you'll watch the second episode. I'll rewatch the second episode. Maybe we'll talk about it on the next one or next week or whatever. But it did make me want to go back and rewatch the whole series.
Yeah.
Cause it was landmark shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
So good. All right, dude. I think before we get out of here, we should talk Dirk, shouldn't we?
Yeah. So Dirk had his big tennis event this weekend, the 6th time he's done it. A lot of people are familiar with the Hero Celebrity Baseball game. He doesn't do that anymore. And that was Madonna's game initially, right?
Heroes, yeah. It was started by Cuban and Charlie McKinney and Madonna and a couple guys like that.
I could see them passing that on to somebody else, maybe Dak or Luca or Dude Perfect, or having somebody else take it over at some point. But it's still Dirk's, but I don't know that he's ever going to roll it back out. Don't let me speak for the foundation. I'm not trying to. But the tennis event has gone on, because when was the last Heroes baseball game now? I mean, it's been a while, right? Because
I believe it was pre-pandemic.
Yeah, so it's been a long time since they've done that, but they've done a couple of. It's been 2 years, I think, since they did the tennis.
They didn't do tennis last year because of Hall of Fame,
right?
And then Dirk had some FIBA stuff, so the tennis event was basically year before last. But there were some Cowboys baseball games happening, like Mike Parsons did a thing, and
they've done softball and some home run derbies and stuff like
right.
that. But this tennis event, even though I love the baseball game, is what I was trying to get to. I just meandered a little bit, but that tennis game is so very special because the tennis event is smaller. And it usually was at SMU, and you could go and you'd see Ben Stiller or Owen Wilson or Luca or whomever out there playing tennis with Dirk, and it's Dirk and his wife Jess love tennis, and the tennis community would come, these great tennis players, and we've gotten to meet so many of them over the years, and so it's just a really special thing. Now this year they moved it indoors to T-Bar M. And it's like is it like a country club, but for tennis people who love tennis? Is that basically what it is?
It's a tennis and racket club. It's been around for a really, really long time. Big part of the North Texas tennis community. And so, like a lot of country clubs right now are doing renovations and trying to keep up. T-Bar M is going through massive renovations, and you look at the backside, and man, they're doing some incredible construction work. I don't know if you heard this. I heard it was like $70 million of constructions going on out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's so Dirk's event, there's a Friday dinner and they do a fundraiser there, and it's really special. And there's usually some awesome live performance of music and a great DJ. And they had DJ Sober spinning, your friend DJ Sober, who I thought, man, he stole the show at the event on Sunday. He was incredible. But it was... This year it was Dirk obviously playing. It was J.J. Barea, Steve Nash, and Klay Thompson, and Dr. Phil, and then some other, Mark Knowles, one of the greatest, doubles players of all time, and then Coco Vandeweghe.
Oh man, she was great.
She was so much fun, huge personality, and so. But there was just one court, and it was indoors at T-Bar M, and it was really special, man. I just they went with a unique thing this time, where Skin and I usually MC it. We didn't have a lot of work to do. At the end of it, Dirk was like, "There wasn't that heavy of a lift for you guys, after all," because they came up with an idea to have the players mic'd up the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, I would take that a million times out of a million, because it's basically Dirk talking trash to his friends about tennis the whole time. Like somebody would whiz a ball by Dirk that he should have gotten to, and he looked over at his doubles partner. He goes, "Man, don't let them do that to you." Stuff like that. It's just so magically awesome hearing Dirk being mic'd up. And so I thought this was the best one they've ever had.
I did too. As you mentioned, in the past, when there's 6 matches going on, it's like a big circus. This was everything focused on one court. People like Dirk stole the show. But hearing him talk to Klay on the court on the loudspeakers was great. And so, yeah, it was, I thought they can build on this and turn it into something even bigger and better than it's been. I thought it was a huge success. And dude, if I can get out there and play tennis like Dr. Phil at 75, I'll be pretty damn happy with all that, man. Sometimes, his serve was tough for him to keep up with, but they did a whole thing where they were going to donate, 3 people are going to donate $1,000 for every volley. And it was Dr. Phil and Coco Vandeweghe out there. And they had 50 volleys, 50 times 3 is 150,000 raised right there. And watching Dr. Phil, I was like, holy shit, this is pretty amazing, man.
Yeah, it was really special. And on Thursday, Super Soaker, our guy TC is working on a badass little video to put together to kind of showcase the whole thing. We are going to play an exclusive interview that we had with Klay Thompson. Skin has the only one-on-one with Klay Thompson since he got to Dallas, to my knowledge. I could be wrong about that. But I want to mention this. So before the tournament started, we got there and we went down into this area where Dirk was getting some physical work, prepping him, working on his foot and his leg or whatever, getting him ready to go. And some of the players are down there getting loose, putting their shoes on or whatnot. And we're in this room, and it's a very small room, but there's Dirk and maybe Coco and Mark Knowles. And then you look over, and there's Klay Thompson. And he's just sitting there talking to who we find out is one of his good buddies. And we had talked to Klay the night before at the dinner event, but he was really into DJ Sober and what he was doing. He was just trying to vibe with the music. He wasn't trying to talk to us, but we planted to see it. Hey, we'll be there tomorrow. And he was like very nice to us. He couldn't have been nicer. Let me be clear about that. And but he didn't know us. Then the next day we walked up to him when he was down there waiting for that tennis event, and we had the coolest conversation with him. And I loved that. And he is a very genuine, authentic, real dude. And I didn't know what to expect. I just know he's one of the greatest shooters of all time. And he was talking about what it meant to him because he loves Dirk, and you'll hear some of this in your interview. But the thing I wanted to mention was we were talking to him about when he signed here, when he decided to come to Dallas, and what the reaction was. And I noticed that he genuinely cared about that. Like, he was wanting to hear from us what that was. Like, he wasn't going, "Oh, tell me every word." But he kind of peeked up and looked up. We were like, "Dude, city is stoked to have you." And he was like, really? I could tell that it meant something to him. So I loved that visit that we had down there before the event.
Yeah, the way he left Golden State was really hard on him because he had been through a lot. I mean, dude, he had 2 major injuries in his 30s. And so that had think about the team that drafts you and you become a splash brother with Steph, and it's basically him, Steph, and Draymond are there, and they formed this dynasty. And, Steve Kerr is obviously a part of that, and the other guys that came and went, but he's a foundational piece of a dynasty. And so when it got to where he no longer trusted or felt good about the organization, that's a really tough place to be. I don't care who you are, what you go through, you know? I mean, I think about, you know, Michael Young or Ian Kinsler would be better to speak on that than we would, right? Because they went through similar things with the Texas Rangers. But the fact that I think he's feeling loved and wanted from a team that he wants to play for, that can lead to some really magical things. So it's definitely pretty exciting. Dude.
I think about he's always seemed to me like a guy who he's a chip on his shoulder player. You can just see it in his body language, the way he carries himself out there. Like he's a chip on his shoulder guy. And, you know, we've talked about great players needing that. Jordan needed that. Luka needs that. Something out there that inspires them, to motivates them to give it everything they've got. But if he is a chip on his shoulder guy, and now he has this massive chip on his shoulder because of the way he parted ways with Golden State, and he's got something to prove, I could see that working out very well for the Mavericks.
Yeah, I think it's a great fit. When you see this video that TC does on Thursday, you'll hear Nash talking about him. You'll hear some back and forth with Berea, but just to kind of wet the whistle, we'll play why don't we play the quick little interaction we had? Now, keep in mind, as we're talking to Klay, there's a match going on like 15 feet to our left, fans like 5 feet to our right, and you can't hear it because the mic is good, but then there's music blaring too and players talking on a mic. So it's kind of a chaotic scene, but you know, I felt like Klay just plowed right through it, man.
Yeah, let's take a listen.
Your first match in the history of Dirk's tennis event. How'd you feel?
A little underwhelmed with my performance. Luckily, I can redeem myself later, but overall, it was a lot of fun, a lot of nerves, but just a fun time.
Isn't it weird that you can be a Hall of Famer and play on the biggest stages, and when you try something new, you kind of still feel those nerves, right? Just a little bit?
Oh, yeah. The confidence I have on the hardwood does not translate to the tennis court, so...
And then you were going, again, you were in doubles, but you're going against J.J. Barea. He's a veteran in this, and J.J. grew up playing tennis. What did you think of his tennis game?
I mean, I think J.J. was mad or something all the times I posted him up in his career. He was serving me bombs.
Yeah. No, that's what he does. Okay, there's been a lot of footage going around of you already hooping at the Mavs practice facility, already getting acclimated here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's exciting. Getting to know my new teammates. We played some pickup. We got shots up, and it's really just an honor to be here, and I'm excited to get going this season. I haven't been this excited in years, so I know we can do something special. Did
it feel weird that you got a bigger cheer than Dirk Nowitzki got at his own tennis event? Is that a sign that people are ready for you?
I think that was just a one-time thing. You know, it was like a welcome home thing, and Dirk is such a legend in this city. He's the greatest to ever put a Mavs uni on, so it's cool to come out and support a great cause.
Okay, and then I know that you love water. Have you found any spots around town yet for you to get out and do a little boating or paddle boating or whatever it is that you're into?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when we used to play the Mavs, I'd always go to, I think it was White Rock Lake.
Yeah, man.
So I'll find some nice bodies of water, get my kayak out there, throw out some fishing lines, and there's nothing like being around the water. So I'm excited to explore the state, and it's a new part of the world for me, and with that comes new opportunities to just do new things. So I couldn't be more excited.
Thank you for doing this interview. Thank you for being here, and we're so happy you're here, dude.
Of course. Thank you guys.
Boom. Klay. Get ready, East Dallas. Klay Thompson is coming to your hood with a kayak and a fishing pole.
Yep.
Pretty awesome.
He loves the water. There you go. So you'll get to see the entire extravaganza from Dirk's little tennis tournament, which was phenomenal. Man, if you haven't been, go next year. This thing is so damn good. All the proceeds benefit the Dirk Nowitzki Foundation. Follow them on social media at the DN Foundation. Man, it's a great cause. It's so cool to see Dirk and Jess do so much in Dallas-Fort Worth still to this day. Just amazing human beings. So, yeah, TC is going to produce that. We'll air it in the Super Soaker on Thursday. Man, thanks to everybody who is checking for this stream every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m., every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. So Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. We'll do Ben and Skin Super Soaker. I hope y'all have joined the Complete Fun Package. We'll put the link somewhere around here. You'll see it all over our social media. Maybe we'll blast it in the comments. But when you sign up for the Complete Fun Package, we're able to email you, stay in touch with you, let you know what we got cooking, special merch offerings, and you'll be entered to win prizes. Like last year or in April, I think, we gave away a meet and greet with Luca. We'll do other meet and greets with other athletes and cool things, but you've got to sign up. It's free, the Complete Fun Package. Sign up for that. Tell your friends about this stream if you dig it. Anything else?
No, man. Just like you said, thanks to everybody. Keep spreading the word for us. We're going to try to grow this. We got, aside from these live streams that we're going to be doing Tuesdays and Thursdays, we got some cool little mini flicks and docs that will be out on the run and out on the road that will be coming your way. So you being able to sign up via the email and sign up for the Complete Fun Package, that'll be you'll be directly notified, and you won't have to worry about whatever's going to pop up on Facebook or Twitter or whatever.
It's all part of the Complete Fun Package we're throwing out here.
That's right, Dirk. The Complete Fun Package awaits you. So go ahead and sign up for that, and you will be in the know.
Yep. Big thanks to our producer, Jason Ferrantello. We love you, Jason. Jason.
Jason.
Jason.
Jason.
All right, let's end it.
All right, see you.